they are summarized, should give you a regular idea of what your business looks like. And this summary should be done on a regular basis, preferably on a monthly basis. Okay, you don't need to do business for 6 months or 1 year before you really know what is happening. And you might, like I mentioned earlier, you may not be able to afford an accountant, but you can as well once in a while call someone in who can look at your records and can help give you a status of what is happening in your business. One of the reasons why it's very difficult for accountants, to work with small business owners is because many small business owners don't keep records. They don't even have an idea of how much they make. They don't have an idea of how much they expend. Sometimes it takes them a lot to be able to identify who owes them or who they owe. Okay, so if you are able to put all of this together, then it's easier for somebody who is an expert to look at your records and help, to advise you on what is important and what is not important. Another thing that is very important for a small business owner is that you need to be able to keep all receipts, all documentation that support your transactions. If you go to the market and you buy something, keep the receipts. If you are selling to someone, invoice your customers. It's not difficult for you to use an invoice to create. You can either generate it online, or you buy receipt booklets and use it. Just something for you to be able to have a trail of what has been happening in your business. Yes, sometimes it looks like you remember, but the truth is, after 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you discover that what you thought you will remember, you can't remember anymore. And I'm sure many of us, can bear me witness that a lot of customers have even gone scot-free that way, because sometimes you don't even remember anymore. And then if the person is not faithful enough to pay back, that's the end. And that's how you begin to lose money little by little. Okay. Then another thing I'll say is, as a small business owner, you need to determine how you will be paid. Okay. The reason is, a lot of times when we start business, because we believe that the business isn't doing well yet, we just say, I know I can't be paid now. But after a while, when the business begins to do well, then we begin to overstretch the business by taking much more than the business can handle. Okay, so part of keeping your records is also ensuring that you can identify what you will be paid. It's always good that you are paid something, no matter how small it is, so that you have an idea of what is due to you. And so that you also know that you can't take more than that, or else your business will begin to go into red. Okay, so if you sell, don't make it a habit to just pick products from your store without paying for them. Okay, pay like a normal customer will pay. And if you don't want to be paid, then if you don't want to pay, then you need to be able to quantify how much will be too much before your business begins to go to red. Okay, so determine how you'll be paid. Then you also need to understand the tax implication or obligations that your business has. Whatever kind of business you are doing, you need to be able to understand. You may not start paying taxes immediately, but it would be nice for you to have an idea. Like I mentioned earlier, if you register a business name, the likelihood that the government will identify you or come after you for tax purposes is very slim. But once you've registered a limited liability company, then that likelihood that you'll be identified sooner or later is very high. And recently the government has started taking tax issues very seriously. And once a lot of cash begins to come into your account, the likelihood that it will be flagged and tax authorities can come after you is very high. So even if you are not paying, you are keeping a record, you are ensuring that you are invoicing your customers to include tax. If you are selling, yes, you need to include VAT. And once you have included VAT, then you should remit. If you don't include VAT, when tax authorities come, there won't be any excuses. Okay, so you will still have to pay the VAT from what should have been your profit. Okay, so understand what tax implication or obligations that surround the kind of business you do. Some businesses have the opportunity to be tax VAT exempt. Identify where you fall, so that you are prepared for whatever it is. Even if you don't want to pay now because of cash flow, you have an idea of what your liability is and what the fine will be when the tax authorities come, and then you can decide to pay when the business is a bit more buoyant. Okay, then another thing you need to do regularly as a business person, when you are just starting and your business is small, you may not see the need or the importance. But one of the things that you need to do regularly is to do a reconciliation of your bank statement, for you to look at all the inflows to ensure that all the inflows have been captured either in income or expense. Okay, and then to be sure that you didn't miss out any transaction in the course of the month. Don't wait to do that every 3 months or 6 months. The reason why it's important for you to start doing it as a small business owner is that so that by the time you are big, you are used to it and you have an idea of what is important for you to do regularly. Okay, so another thing that is important for you to do as a small business person is for you to audit yourself. That looks like what the accountant is supposed to do, but if you have an idea of what is happening, then it's easy for you to be able to support all the transactions that you have and be able to allow a third party to be able to help you to read your financial statement. Okay, so how do you audit yourself? When you invoice your customers, ensure that you keep a copy of the invoice. When you buy something for your business or somebody offers you a service, ensure that the person invoices you, before you pay. So all of this support, third-party support, documentation, you will compare it with all the transactions you have written down, either in Excel or in your QuickBook or wherever you are recording, and just ensure that for every transaction that you have recorded, you have a document, that supports it. So if I have income recorded, then I should have an invoice, and there must be a customer who actually, did that transaction. One of the ways that can also help you is for business decisions. If you invoice all your customers, you have an idea of all the customers that buy from you, when they buy from you. Then when a customer, for example, is not coming back, then your record can help you to say, I know that Mrs. Tola will usually buy this thing once every month. She hasn't come this month. Then you can keep in touch. Okay, so it's important for you to be able to move from supporting documents to the records you are also keeping, to ensure that there's something that verifies whatever is written. When you are the only one doing your business, it's easier for you to overlook a lot of these things. But by the time you start having a staff or two, then it's important for you to be able to follow all of this, so that you can at every point in time have an idea of what is happening in your business, and you can support every transaction. If, for example, like I was in a meeting where someone was saying that whenever he's around, in his shop, he sells, they sell well. But every time he's not around, he discovers that sales is very poor. Okay, so what he tried to do was to employ a bookkeeper, somebody who would just be invoicing people and keeping record. And one of the things that happened was somebody bought and wasn't invoiced. I don't know, I think the bookkeeper stepped out for a while, and then what the other guys were doing was, whenever anybody comes to the store, they sell to them and they don't give them any receipt or anything, and then they go. Okay, so this man bought something and went, but had to return it for a particular reason. And when he came back, luckily the owner of the shop was there, and he asked, so where is the receipt for this transaction? And unfortunately, he didn't have it. Who sold to you? By the time he did the investigation, he discovered that, one of the staff or two of the staff collide together to sell without invoicing anyone, and then they keep the money. Okay, so when you have a system that ensures that there's a supporting document for every transaction, then it's easy for you to follow trail of business to ensure that everything that should be going on is going on, and that no one within your system is boycotting things or doing something wrongly. Then I've spoken about keeping inventory records. And then, okay, I've also spoken about ensuring that you have audit trail for every transaction. Audit trail is ensuring that for every transaction, there's a supporting document saying that the transaction occurred. Then, of course, when you buy something, also ensure that you have receipts. Okay, I know, for small businesses, a lot of times it looks irrelevant to get receipts for petty things. If I'm trying to give an example of something that someone can term petty. If, for example, you buy as basic as maybe something for mopping the floor in your office, as basic as that is, it's important for you to have a documentation showing that you bought it and that it costed whatever amount it costed, and that it was bought from a third party. The reason is because, one, you might not be able, for personal use, it might not be an issue. It can become an issue for personal use if you forget to record it. But imagine that you have a receipt or an invoice, then you'll be able to remember to record. Then the other reason why it's important for you to have some of those documents is because if, for example, the tax authorities want to review your records, anything that doesn't have a third party support is counted as non-existent. Okay, so if you spend 5,000 today, 7,000 tomorrow, 20,000, and all of that accumulates and become 500,000, and you cannot show any documents, for those transactions, then, either an auditor or a tax person cannot believe that you actually spend those on the business, and those transactions, will be deemed as not non-existent, and as such, you'll be taxed for that income. It will be taken back as income, and you'll be taxed for it. Okay, so that's another reason why it's very important for you to, as much as possible, ensure that you get receipts for almost every transaction, if not all, as much as possible. And then another very important thing, that I think about now is the fact that as a business person, you need to ensure that you pay your business expenses. You don't pay them in cash. You pay your business expenses via your bank. You pay your business expenses via bank. Everything, make sure everything can go through your bank. And the reason why this is important is because, one, it's easier for you to keep track of your expenses. Two, it's easier for you to justify them as business expenses. Okay, if you spent a lot of cash, like I explained earlier, and you can't actually remember how much it was or what it was used for, then you may not be able to identify it as a business expense. Okay, so for all business transactions, as much as possible, ensure that you pay your creditors or people you do business with via your bank account. I think I'll stop there for tonight, and then we can take questions, and maybe there'll be any other thing I'll highlight from the questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Truly appreciate. If you don't mind, can you just help us just do like a quick recap of just the point, just the key, like the highlights of everything at once together before we take the questions?
Okay. The key highlight is have an okay. Let me start with have a business account. Open a business account and ensure that your open a business account and ensure that your personal finance is differentiated from your business finance. Um, have a bookkeeping system in place. You can either use Excel, use an accounting software. An example is QuickBooks, or you hire an accountant who comes once in a while to do this for you. Then ensure that you use the accrual method to record your business transactions. Ensure you plan for major expenses. Ensure you do a regular summary of your income and expenses or financial statements, as the case may be, preferably on a monthly basis. As a business person, determine how much you want to be paid and stick to it, and don't deplete your business by taking inventory out or using your services without payment. Then know what your tax obligations are. Even if you are not complying yet, just have an idea of what it takes to do business in your field and what the government expects of you. Then perform regular bank reconciliation, preferably on a monthly basis. Audit yourself regularly. Keep a record of your inventory. Ensure you have audit trail of all transactions. Audit trail of all transactions is having supporting documents, for all the transactions that go on in your business. Ensure you have a receipt for every expense, whether petty or not. And also ensure that you pay your business expenses via your bank and not in cash. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ma. So we have a few questions. I'll just take them one by one. Please, if you have any question, just click on the chat button and type in your question so we can take it. First question here says, please, what is the minimum taxable income?
Minimum taxable income for a business.
Yes.
Once you make profit, you pay tax. 30% is effective tax rate. It comes to about 32% anyway.
Okay, so if you make 100 naira profit,
once you make profit,
you pay. There's no minimum
annually.
taxable income.
No.
Okay.
After after you put together your financials, the tax authorities will still look through it, and there are some expenses that they will deem not allowed. So some expenses are not allowed, even if you say they are business expenses. So they will rework your financials and then come up with your new taxable profits, and that's what you will be taxed on. You only don't pay tax when you are not making profits. For as long as you are making profits, you pay tax.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone said, which is better, an internal auditor or external auditor?
It depends on the kind of business you are doing and why you are having an auditor. Usually, external auditors are statutory auditors. They are only checking your records to give an opinion on your financial statements. Okay, so if you are not filing your financial statement, then you really don't need an external auditor. Is that clear? I don't know, since I can't hear the person.
Yeah. Please.
So, but you need
okay.
an internal auditor will serve you to be able to ensure that there are controls in place in your business to ensure that your company assets are safeguarded. Okay, so it depends on how big your business is. If you have a very small business, then you don't need either an internal or external auditor. You just need maybe an accountant to help you ensure that things are happening correctly. So it depends on the kind of business. I may not be able to answer except I have an idea of the kind of business you're talking about.
Okay, thank you very much, man. Benga, I hope that's clear. I think you wrote it is clear. Okay, so awesome. Um, Ogunleye Abimbola is asking, we have a culture of giving tithes, offering, and alms in our growing organization. Please, when
Okay.
can we make that deduction? Is it before or after the net profits? Does it have to reflect on books because of taxation?
Whether you put it in or not, it's not allowed. It's not an allowable expense.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Abimbola,
an
okay.
allowable expense. So if you give it, then it means you just decided to pay yourself, of which the government will not even allow it. I don't know if you understand what I mean. It's not a business expense, so it won't be allowed for tax purposes and can't be recorded on the face of your financials. So even if an auditor or an accountant comes, it will not be recorded. So it will be taken as part of your business cash that you've spent on your own.
Okay, so just to write a little bit on that. So how do businesses, for example, capture a CSR spend or something like that?
Yeah, CSR is different from tithing. So if it's CSR, you need to be able to demonstrate. You first of all need to have a CSR policy that allows you to do that as a business. If you don't have any policy stating what you do as a business, then it won't be allowed. But if as a business you have policy, that states that, I think that's one of the things I also didn't mention. Maybe because I'm thinking we are really small businesses. But by the time you want to begin to, position your business for growth, then you need to have what we call policies and procedures that guide every transaction. Okay, so you don't just wake up to do a transaction in a particular way. You need to be able to state it that as a business, this is kind of business we do, this is how we make money, this is how we invoice our customers. Everything needs to be written down. Okay, you can get that done when the time comes with the help of an accountant. So one of the things you need to have policy for example, is your CSR policy, which will explain what you can do and what you cannot do. I give an example. Okay, if for example in your policy you stated that sorry, what we do is give out our products to the less privileged, something like that. If you change your mind and give out cash, it will not be recognized because your policy doesn't accommodate it. Okay, so for CSR, you need to have a policy, and it's that policy you follow to do whatever you want to do as a business.
Okay, I think that's clear. Thank you, Ma. Someone else says, I would like to understand more about VAT.
Okay, VAT is value added tax, and for every um goods or products that you sell, you are supposed to add 5% to it, and that 5% is payable to the government on or before the 21st day of the subsequent month. E.g., let me explain it, using an hypothetical situation. If, for example, I do business, I sell books, and I sold, okay, so when I'm planning how much I'll sell my book, I need to put into consideration the fact that I need to pay VAT on every book I sell. Okay, so if, for example, the selling price I come up to is 1,000, then I need to calculate what 5% of that is and add it to the 1,000 so that my customers will pay 1,000 plus 5%. Okay, then for every of those books that I eventually sell in November, on or before the 21st of next month, I need to remit to government the VAT element on all of the transactions in the month. Okay, so I'll pay my VAT. For goods, for products, for tangible things is VAT. For services, you are supposed to withhold tax. That is withholding tax that you charge on that. So depending on the kind of business you do, you either add VAT to your transactions or you withhold tax and pay on behalf of your customer to the
Okay.
government.
So just to be clear, VAT and withholding are both 5%. Is that correct?
No,
Okay, please.
withholding tax is dependent on the kind of service that is being rendered and who is rendering the service. If it's an individual, for some transactions it's 5%, for some transactions it's 10%. So you need to go a step further to confirm.
Okay, is there
Hello?
just trying to ensure that people gain clarity? So when you say we have to go a step further to confirm, is that I need to ask an accountant? Is there somewhere online where these details are? How does this work?
I'm not sure about online. But if you go to FIRS office, you can get some of this information. For example, I'm showing this book. I don't know if any of us have seen it before. It's printed and it's given out free. You can get it and you can learn more about taxpayer information series. It's printed by I don't even know. Yes, it's printed by the tax office, by the FIRS office, and it's giving out free. It has questions and answers of what is value-added tax, how you register, how you get your TIN number, how you calculate your VAT, who is a VATable person, who is taxable, and all that.
Okay, great. So one can pick that from any tax office around them, correct?
Yes, NFIS office.
Okay, awesome.
And the reason why you also, let me just quickly say this. The reason why you also just don't learn something today about tax and stick to it is the fact that sometimes these laws change. So they do a lot of upgrades, a lot of changes. So you need to be sure that you are up to date, because even when you are ignorant, it will not be, you won't be forgiven for your ignorance.
Correct. Okay, I think we have one more question here. Someone says, of what importance is the use, sorry, I'm trying to get it out. Of what importance is the use of accounting software in managing my business accounts?
Okay, what the software does is it's I'm trying to find the right word. It relieves you of stress of trying to you don't need to understand any accounting. You just need to be able to get your data and slot it into the software, and it will get you your financial statements, all sorted. Somebody who is using Excel, for example, except it's a template that has been developed for you, will still need someone to be able to put data together. But if you are using a software and you've learned how to go about it, and okay, I sold 3 dresses, this is how much one is, there will be a place for you to say this is how much somebody is owing me. By the time you do all of that, the software can come up with a summary of your financial statement, and it brings out your income statement, your balance sheets, and your cash flow statement. You don't need someone to come and generate it for you separately. The only thing is you may need someone to help you analyze it, except you already understand what it is already. So it just saves you the stress of trying to analyze your numbers, or trying to do a summary for yourself on a monthly basis. And then if you do it regularly, it also gives you an opportunity to have an online real-time status of how you are doing in your business.
Okay. I think there's a final question. Sorry about that. The person says that I just started a shop where I refill cooking gas. How do I add VAT on
Okay.
that? Also, the local government charged me 6.5 at the beginning of the year. Can that be regarded as a tax obligation?
It's not. That one is just I don't know what that is. That's local government fee. It's not tax.
Okay, so we're talking about the cooking gas. So basically,
Yes.
yeah, he's asking how does he work out his VAT on that? Just to
Your VAT will be 5% of the gas you are selling. So it's either of two things. It's either you have a figure and then you work back to less of VAT. That's, imagine that is VAT inclusive already, or you have your costs and then you add VAT and then come up with the total amount that is payable by your customer. But in doing it, gas to an extent has a fixed rate that is being sold. So you may not be able to go outside of what people are doing generally, or except you want to be too pricey. So you can fix your selling price and then work back to get the VAT on that. I don't know if I'm clear.
yeah, I think that's clear. For that. Okay, just a quick one. I know you mentioned Excel earlier. So for SMEs, which accounting softwares can you recommend? So I know there's Excel. I know some people use Wave. Is there
I
what else
said
comes to mind?
QuickBooks.
Okay, and
Hello.
are those ones free? Do they need to pay for it? Just
I'm not. I'm sure. You may have to pay. But then I think Excel is easy because there are quite a number of advanced Excel files you can find that you don't need to pay for, that you can just use. And then, of course, these days there are a lot of apps that you can also use. You can check, either on Android or on iPhone, to look for free apps that can help you keep a record, and then that can build your financial statements. I'm sure you will find some also. But, all in all, what is important is for you to keep a record. Keeping the software part is not difficult, or having someone come to assist you with a summary of the numbers is not difficult if the records are intact. But once the record is not intact, then even if you use QuickBooks, it will be giving you false summary. So I think what's more important is for you to, first of all, master the art of keeping your records, no matter how little you think it is, or how insignificant you think it is.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma. Madam Bojo hasn't been feeling fine for the past few days. She's still not back 100%, but she still chose to spend her time 1 hour with us rather than rest. So please help us appreciate her. I mean, if you look at her face, you can see that she's still trying to manage herself. So thank you very much, Ma, for this huge sacrifice. We truly appreciate it. Eshe Gani.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you very much. So thank
Thank
you
you
very
all
much,
for coming.
everyone.
I appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you got one or two things out of the class tonight. It's been an amazing time. The recording of the session will be shared on the WhatsApp page, both the audio and the video, so you can listen to it after the class. And then the quiz for it will be shared. That will be next week. Okay, so everyone have a lovely night. God bless you. Catch ya on WhatsApp. Good night.